Hello everybody, Posey here. We've got another rapid review. It's been a hot minute since I did the last one. I think it was, back in March? I think it was like March, yeah. Or maybe the very beginning of April? Yeah. So it's been a little bit. It's been a little bit for sure. Today I'm going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And it's the third of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And I don't really talk about the MCU very much. I've kind of fallen out of watching the MCU. A lot of their current movies and shows to me just don't really interest me. They've kind of fallen off, one could say. But there are definitely a couple movies that they make that are still good. Like, for example, I thought Wakanda Forever, the second Black Panther movie, was phenomenal. And this was also, much to my pleasure, a very, very fun watch. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is an absolute banger. Now, it wasn't really a surprise. I can't say I'm shocked because James Gunn is one of my favorite directors out there, and his Guardians of the Galaxy movies are some of my favorite Marvel movies, if not my favorites. The first one is a banger, the second one is even better. This one is arguably even better than the first two, which is crazy. Maybe the second is slightly better. I don't know, it's kind of a debate in my head right now. But this one is still fantastic, and I'm really glad that it was, because I went into this with high expectations, and I did not get disappointed. Not at all. It's obviously not a perfect movie. I will discuss some things that could have been done a bit better, but for the most part, this was awesome. One of the main things I really want to praise is the exploration of Rocket as a character and his backstory. I think that they did a fantastic job. His backstory was pretty emotional, and also really just conceptually very fucked up and just, horrifying, but, in a way that makes it, kind of compelling to watch. He was a test subject by this, cruel guy named the High Evolutionary, who's, by the way, probably one of the best villains of the MCU ever. Definitely one of the best villains I've seen from the MCU in a long time, maybe since Infinity War Thanos. He is absolutely phenomenal. He is terrifying. He's just a fucking asshole. You just hate him so much. He's not a sympathetic villain. And I'm really glad that they just went with a villain who's just pure fucking evil, who the heroes need to kill by the end of the movie. Or not kill, but, overcome. I think he technically dies on his spaceship. Of course, this is gonna have spoilers. I will put a spoiler warning in the title. So yeah. But besides High Evolutionary, the actor who plays him, by the way, is also fantastic. The acting in this movie, in general, is just really fantastic. Of course it is, because, the Guardians were just fantastically cast in the first place, and that has remained true throughout the trilogy. And High Evolutionary's casting is no different. And you also have Adam Warlock, who is a new addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I don't really know Adam Warlock from the Marvel comics. I'm not really much of a comics guy, honestly, I haven't read much Marvel. I know that Adam Warlock is supposed to be a really interesting character in the comics. He's kind of just a series of gags here. He's not really that prominent. I would say he is funny, though. He definitely serves his purpose as being, kind of a gag character. And he's still very enjoyable to watch, and it looks like they've got more for him planned in the future if someone decides to carry on the Guardians storyline. I know that James Gunn isn't going to be around for the future Guardians-related movies, because he's moving on to DC now, which, by the way, I'm super hyped about. I can't wait to see what he does with DC. But yeah, Adam Warlock was pretty good in this, even though he feels like he could have been a bit more interesting, and not just a gag character, but I'm sure that maybe someone else will kind of pick up the pieces and make him more interesting later down the line. And I also like the inclusion of Cosmo. He's just a hilarious character. And the further inclusion of Craiglin. I like all these little gag characters, because they really make the universe feel a lot more real. And, of course, they even they have emotional cores to them. And that's something that James Gunn does really well. Even as goofy as his concepts are, he executes them in a way that's very emotional. For example, I was talking about the Rocket backstory before, and the thing about the Rocket backstory is that he used to have these friends named Lila, Teefs, and Floor, and they are kind of somewhat silly-looking animals who can talk, and they have little They have like robotic adjustments to their bodies. Like Floor is a bunny with spider legs. Teefs is a walrus that has like wheels attached to its side to his side. Lila is I think an otter with arms. And of course, Rocket is a raccoon who can talk and shoot guns and shit, and also walk on his 2 legs. And the concept is a little bit goofy. It looks a little bit goofy on screen, but it's just executed in such a way that it's genuinely really emotional, because Rocket and these other test subjects were just like really good friends. And partway through the movie, we're shown how they all died when Rocket tried to break them out, and he still blames himself for that, and he pushes away people because he doesn't want to get close to them. He's afraid of losing everybody. And it's also more fucked up when you realize he was the only Guardian to survive during the blip time after Infinity War. And he only had Nebula as a friend, so that's fucked up. It also recontextualizes a lot about Rocket's character. Like, there's one really powerful line from Volume 2, where he's like, I can only lose one friend today. And that just hits different now, knowing that he lost all these friends in the past, and he's still riddled with guilt. And it's so cathartic to see him rise up against the High Evolutionary again and just take revenge and free all of the animals that are locked up in his base, so that he can stop the cycle from repeating again. And it's just fucking fantastic. It's just really emotional storytelling, and just overall super good. Also, Peter, aka Star-Lord, had a pretty nice arc in this movie, I will say. I didn't really expect him to. I knew it was a Rocket-focused movie, but it was nice seeing him go back to his grandfather and try and reconnect with his family at the end. I honestly cried up at that part, like, almost. I'm really good at not crying at movies, so this is genuinely impressive. I almost cried when Rocket was freeing the other raccoons, and I also almost cried when Peter went back to his grandpa, and they hugged. That fucking crushed me, man. Just, like, such an emotional movie. And, yeah, and also Groot is cool. I like Groot. I've always liked Groot. Drax is pretty funny. I heard that Drax's character is kind of goofy compared to what he's like in the comics, and also what he's like in the Guardians video game. I enjoy him well enough. I feel like he could be a bit better developed. He's not really developed well in this movie. He's just kind of, whatever. He has funny one-liners and shit. He does have a little bit of an arc with Nebula, but it's nothing too substantial. But yeah, Drax has always kind of been like that since the first movie, to be honest. I mean, he does have a nice arc in Volume 2 as well. So maybe I'm kind of discounting him for a bit, but he's not one of my favorites, even though he does have a lot of funny gags attached to him. But yeah, this is mostly Rocket's movie, a little bit of Peter in there, a little bit of Nebula, and what they did with Gamora is also pretty cool. See, this is the thing, the Russos kind of fucked with James Gunn a lot by bringing Gamora back, or killing the original Gamora and then bringing her back as a different version of Gamora. But I think what James Gunn did here in this movie kind of fixes it a little bit. Like, it's decent. It's not ideal, obviously. I would say that they executed that pretty well. And another thing I want to talk about with this movie, just so many creative ideas, like, just so much cool shit that's going on. Like, there's a whole alternate version of Earth that the High Evolutionary is building, to kind of, like, create this perfect society, and it's really, like, creepy because it's got, like, people who are, like, animals, kind of. They're, like, and it's all, like, practical effects, too, because they did a really good job with practical effects in this movie. Kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, which I talked about in the last Rapid Review. And it's just really eerie to see, like, this whole version of Earth, but with like, these animal, sort of people. Like, people with pig faces, and like, boar faces, and, like, well, those are almost the same animal, but you know what I mean. Just, like, all sorts of different animals. And then it's really fucked up seeing him just destroy that world and, like, kill all those innocent people who he made to live there because he feels like it wasn't good enough. Like, that's fucked. That is so fucked. But it's also just, man, yeah. And then, like, oh, the cool, like, designs for, like, that pig who's, like, servant, and then the other creature as well. Just, like, these robotic, like, biological super soldiers that he's built. And the fucking Hellspawn dude, like, that felt right out of Doom or some shit like that. That was awesome. And then when Nowhere rocked up to the High Evolutionary's base, that was just fucking fire, dude. So much cool stuff happening in this movie. Like, and James Gunn knows how to have all these creative concepts and then execute them in an emotional way. Like, that's what I've been saying this whole time. It is just so good, and I really do recommend this movie. And also, there's a scene where they're breaking into, like, a company that funds the High Evolutionary, and they're kind of wearing suits that look like Among Us, and I thought that was funny. I'm kind of running out of things to talk about this movie, but it is just really fucking fantastic. Just really great action, really great characters, really great story. Just super emotional. Good music as well. Yeah, and also good CGI, which is nice because Marvel CGI has not exactly been that great lately because they've been overworking their VFX workers, which is really shitty, by the way. But this had pretty good CGI in my opinion, and it also had really great practical effects. And it looks amazing, feels amazing, is amazing. That's Guardians for you. The peak of the MCU. I truly believe Guardians of the Galaxy is my favorite CBM trilogy, as in like comic book movie trilogy, and it's gonna take a long time for anything to top that, if it's even possible. I know some people will bring up like the Raimi movies or the Nolan movies, but no. The Nolan movies don't have a good third installment in my opinion, and neither do the Raimi movies, even though Spider-Man 3 is fun. Guardians of the Galaxy, though, that's bangers the whole way through, and I believe it is the best comic book movie trilogy out there, in my opinion. So yeah, this movie is probably like at least a 9 out of 10, maybe a 10 out of 10 if I'm being generous. There's a couple things I don't like, but I don't really want to discuss those. It's all good. This is still a fantastic movie, regardless of any small gripes I have. This gets at least a 9 out of 10 for me. And it is my favorite movie of 2023 so far, even more so than Dungeons and Dragons, which is shocking because I really like that one. But you know, that's just James Gunn for you. And I've been rambling on for a little while, and those are just my thoughts on Guardians 3. And with that being said, I hope you guys also enjoyed this movie if you saw it. If you didn't see it, I just hope you're having a great day. If you didn't enjoy it, that's also fine. You can argue with me in the comments. I would love to hear any constructive criticisms of the movie or my opinions in the comments. And with that being said, have a great day, and goodbye.